Donald Trump just destroyed his own claim of immunity that the right-wing Supreme Court gave him on certain issues by Donald Trump filing a $15 billion lawsuit late Monday night against the New York Times. This was one of the most deranged lawsuits I've ever read, perhaps the most deranged lawsuit I've ever read in my life. And in this $15 billion lawsuit, I'm going to explain how and why Donald Trump waived his absolute immunity claim, and how also Donald Trump has invited discovery into his dark past involving Jeffrey Epstein and his appearance in the Epstein files that are currently being covered up. So I got word late last night that Donald Trump filed this lawsuit against the New York Times. In many ways, it's incomprehensible. I mean, the lawsuit, like, it's hard not to comprehend at an intellectual level, like to literally read it. I'm like trying to even understand, like, what are you alleging? Because the first few paragraphs whine that the New York Times endorsed former Vice President Kamala Harris. And then it starts to talk about a book that was published by New York Times authors in September of 2024, and how there were these articles that were written leading up to the election like a year ago, and that this is upsetting Donald Trump today. And he references a September 17, 2024 book that was published called Lucky Loser: How Donald Trump Squandered His Father's Fortune and Created the Illusion of Success, authored by Craig and Butner, Susan Craig and Ross Butner, Lucky Loser. Then it says, in the lead up to the publication of the book days earlier, on September 14, 2024, the New York Times published a defamatory, malicious, and false article titled The Star-Making Machine That Created Donald Trump, authored by Craig and Butner, Susan Craig and Ross Butner. And you see it right there. Then on October 20th, 2024, the Times published another, this is what's being alleged in the lawsuit, another defamatory, malicious, and false article titled, For Trump, a Lifetime of Scandals, Head Towards a Moment of Judgment. Again, this was authored by Peter Baker on October 20th, 2024. And then it says, in another election interfering salvo, on October 26, 2024, the Times published another false, malicious, and defamatory and disparaging article authored by Michael Schmidt. And it says, as election nears, Kelly warns Trump would rule like a dictator. Donald Trump's former chief of staff, a retired four-star general, John Kelly, said that Donald Trump would rule like a dictator. Seems that that was pretty prescient, because in my opinion, that's what Donald Trump is doing right now. And then Donald Trump, in this lawsuit that he files, he starts like posting photos of himself at The Apprentice. And he says what a successful business person that he is. And he says that everything he touches is turned to gold. And it has like these weird photos. It's like, look at paragraph 56. Trump has built, transformed, established, and revitalized businesses, projects, and brands, including The Apprentice. And then it lists a bunch of other things. Trump has authored many best-selling books. And it goes, Trump's hundreds of history-making media appearances and roles include WrestleMania, Ghosts Can't Do It, Miss Universe 2001, Days of Our Lives 2005. And then it goes, Trump has utilized his business and real estate acumen to grow his business and holdings across America internationally, including Ireland, Oman, Scotland, Vietnam, and Dubai. As evidenced by the meteoric rise of Truth Social, Trump's business success resonates in the American collective consciousness. And then the rest of this is like showing like Donald Trump's ratings in The Apprentice. And it was like, look at the ratings in The Apprentice during all of these years on page 38. There was another page in this lawsuit where it, again, this thing just keeps getting more and more deranged, where it says, Trump has also brought a powerhouse defamation lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal, arising out of a July 17, 2025 article falsely claiming that he authored, drew, and signed a card to wish the late and utterly disgraced Epstein a happy 50th birthday. Okay, so now let's talk about the waiver of absolute immunity. Donald Trump has filed this bizarre and deranged lawsuit for $15 billion against the New York Times in his personal capacity. And how do you know it's in his personal capacity? You go to the party section of the lawsuit, and it talks about who's suing and why are they suing. And then it mentions that the parties are Donald Trump, and it talks about Trump is a citizen of the United States, a resident of the state of Florida, the 45th president. And then it goes, Trump's transcendent ability to define wrongful conventions has been vividly reflected in his successful undertaking to restore the integrity of journalism. But go up right there. It says President Donald J. Trump on the caption, an individual. So that means he's suing in his individual capacity. That means he doesn't have absolute immunity in this lawsuit. He can't claim that he has the presidential immunity powers. Now he sues, look who he sues here, New York Times, Susan Craig, Ross Butner, because they wrote the book and the article that he claims is defamatory, where they write about John. And then he sues Peter Baker and Michael Schmidt for those articles saying, that the book Lucky Loser, the articles, the star making machine that created Donald Trump, and then the other article for Trump, a lifetime of scandals, heads towards a moment of judgment. Okay, now, if I'm the New York Times, here's what I do immediately. I don't even think New York Times could file a motion to dismiss this lawsuit right away, and they could, and they'd probably win. Florida has robust anti-SLAPP protection, strategic lawsuits against public policy. In other words, trying to chill the First Amendment rights of a media company. Here, talking about, Donald Trump had multiple companies that went bankrupt over and over again, bankrupted casinos, bankrupted companies. He was found liable for fraud. He was convicted of felonies for business records cases. So to talk about a life of scandal feels, and again, if my opinion of it is that it feels like an accurate thing to say that he had a life filled with scandals. Talking about John Kelly warning about Trump becoming a dictator, especially what we see now. So to me, okay, what are the subjects of New York Times deposition and discovery? So if I'm New York Times, sorry, let me just go back to what I was saying. If I'm New York Times, take that discovery right now. You don't need to even do a motion to dismiss. Answer the lawsuit. Answer. Do a general denial. Then issue discovery to Donald Trump immediately. Set his deposition immediately. Everything is fair game now based on what Trump put in the lawsuit. All the Epstein stuff, because Donald Trump mentions Epstein, the birthday book, get him under oath immediately. You can now ask him as New York Times. If you're the New York Times, this should be a journalist's dream. You get to take Donald Trump's deposition, so take it. Set it. He has to be under oath. And what's he going to say? I'm the president. I'm not going to answer that question. You filed the lawsuit. So set that deposition. Ask him about the birthday book. Ask him about his policies right now. Ask him about the things that he's doing that show that he's behaving like a dictator right now. And when he goes, oh, I'm invoking executive privilege, go, sorry, you filed this lawsuit. We're entitled to ask you all of these questions right here. You don't have absolute immunity for us to, we get to ask discovery on these issues. And now, if you lie and you commit perjury, that could be a crime. And you've waived absolute immunity there. Just think about it. Imagine Donald Trump goes under oath and says that now that he's under oath and he goes, that was not his signature. Get a handwriting expert, show it's his signature, go and ask him questions about his past sexual abuse. and ask him questions about E. Jean Carroll. Ask him all those questions are fair game based on what he put in there. Go through every one of his bankruptcies. Go through his net worth before he was in office. Ask him all the questions about his business deals that he's currently engaged in right now. Ask him about his business ventures, how he's using the White House to enrich himself. And what, is he not going to answer it? Is he going to invoke the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination? He's suing for $15 billion. So you'd argue, if you're New York Times, pretty big lawsuit, huh? I'm entitled to ask all this information. You can't hide this from me. That's what I would do if I was the New York Times. Then as you go through just this lawsuit and you see that Donald Trump saying what his damages are right here, and you look at his damages. Let's pull open the damages over here. Damages. Defendants' defamatory and disparaging statements have caused numerous harms to Trump and his businesses. Great. So now if you're New York Times, you get to subpoena I would subpoena his tax records. I would subpoena all of his business records. Donald Trump has increased his net worth by billions since he's been in office, but he's claiming his businesses have been hurt. His businesses have exploded in wealth in these, what appear to be, in my opinion, kind of quid pro quo type deals with him. Then Donald Trump, in terms of his other damages, the reputational and economic harm that defendants have inflicted on Trump and his businesses can be redressed by the court. Okay, well then let's find out what they are. Such as the false claim that Trump has engaged in illegal activity. You were found criminally liable. You're a felon. Of course you've been found engaging in illegal activity. A New York jury says that you're a felon 34 times over, including but not limited, it says, to tax fraud and wire fraud. You were found criminally liable in a business records case. These statements constitute defamation per se. And it goes on to say, discrete economic harms resulted from the defamatory statements. And then it goes on to say, defendants' false publications about Trump led directly to the precipitous decline in the stock price of Trump Media Group. Okay, you loser. You're blaming the New York Times why Trump Media Group, why Truth Social stock is not performing. Then it says, Trump's business acumen and public image have been directly affected. So you're saying you want to bring in your personal reputation and acumen? You won the presidency. What are you talking about? Then it says the value of Trump's one-of-a-kind, unprecedented brand alone is reasonably estimated to be $100 billion. His business venture, he goes, Trump's one-of-a-kind personal brand is reasonably estimated to be $100 billion. His business ventures are successful and generate hundreds of millions of dollars. Moreover, the injury to Trump's businesses and reputation inflicted by these defendants threatens to continue, thereby causing massive economic damage to his brand. Trump's net worth is extremely high and includes his unique brand. Defendant smears served only one purpose: to disgrace and humiliate Trump with false and malicious and defamatory reporting premised on disregarding of the truth. All right. I mean, if I'm New York Times, I'm like, game on. Like, this is a gift. Get the guy under oath, ask him these questions. He can't invoke immunity to stop discovery. He can't invoke privileges to stop discovery. Get at it. Don't let him delay this. He filed it. Push forward. Remember what Michael Cohen did when he was sued for $500 million? Cohen set Trump's deposition immediately. That's what New York Times should do. That's my breakdown. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.